So, viewers, as you know, we conduct in-depth research on significant global issues. To continue providing such comprehensive reports and to expand your knowledge, we present some startling facts regarding alleged vote tampering or vote theft by the BJP during Indian elections. We urge every Indian citizen, especially those who love their country and are disillusioned or distressed by the current regime, to watch, listen to, and fully grasp this report. If you do not understand it the first time, please listen to it again, as this report directly impacts your life and your family's well-being. Please share it so that others may also have the opportunity to hear and understand it. Friends, through this report, we will conclusively demonstrate how the BJP, which rose to power from Gujarat and now holds the reins at the center, is establishing its rule in various states by stealing votes and manipulating the electoral process. That is why we want to inform all the youth of India, especially the supporters of the Cockroach Janta Party, about how votes are stolen via EVMs. We will prove that preventing this vote theft should be the primary issue for today's youth and the people of India. We possess concrete details on this matter, based on intelligence, data analysis, and actual instances of electoral rigging by the ruling power, facts that are indisputable and free from ambiguity. This report corroborates and validates the irregularities regarding EVMs highlighted by prominent Supreme Court lawyer Mahmood Pracha and Parakala Prabhakar, husband of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Consequently, our report on the electoral rigging orchestrated by the ruling power represents the absolute truth. It reveals how EVM-based vote theft has effectively sacrificed India's democracy. India, once hailed as the world's largest democracy, has now seen its democratic system completely dismantled, meaning the vote of the common citizen no longer holds any value. Furthermore, TV news channels, which are sycophantic towards the Modi regime, refuse to discuss this issue. They have either been bought by corporate tycoons allied with Modi or are intimidated by his government. Even most YouTube news channels tend to speak evasively, lacking any real clarity. Therefore, viewers, while we usually focus on investigative reporting regarding global events, the complete erasure of democracy in India, achieved through the deployment of police, central forces, and the Election Commission, is a matter of grave concern. Henceforth, our attention and scrutiny will be firmly fixed on India. Viewers, before 2024, you might have believed that if a political party's government wasn't working effectively for you or the public, you could simply vote them out in the next election. However, it is deeply saddening to say that today, whether you like it or not, if the central authority decides to install its government in any state, oust an opposition government, or maintain its own rule in a state, it can do so. The central power has absolutely no regard for your vote in this matter. You might wonder why we are presenting this report now. The straightforward answer is that we had already been receiving intelligence and concrete, verified reports regarding the central authority's interference in the electoral processes of states under its control, such as Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Delhi, and Haryana. Yet, we held off on this campaign until the West Bengal elections because we wanted to observe the situation there. A BJP victory in West Bengal seemed nearly impossible. The party lacked a strong organizational base, and there was no significant inclination towards the BJP among the general public, a population characterized by high levels of awareness and education, where the views of the enlightened influence the less aware. Furthermore, the BJP's image had severely deteriorated over the last 12 years due to religious persecution, flawed economic and social policies favoring the ultra-wealthy, and the glaring gap between their rhetoric and actions in both the central government and BJP-ruled states. To be precise, Our AI data analysis and on-ground media report analysis regarding West Bengal's 72.5 million people revealed that while the public was dissatisfied with the local leaders and the ineffective administrative machinery under the Mamata government, they retained faith in Mamata Banerjee's leadership. People preferred Mamata Banerjee's secular, liberal government over the BJP's fake religious regime, which they perceived as a system of lies and exploitation, hoping instead for a strengthening of government institutions, industry, trade, and employment, alongside a remedy for the unholy nexus between corrupt, commission-seeking local leaders, anti-social elements, and the local police apparatus. But friends, what actually happened? The results were the exact opposite of the public's mandate. Despite the public leaning towards Mamata Banerjee's government, and votes being cast in her favor due to a secular mindset, the Election Commission declared that the BJP secured the seats that should have gone to Mamata, while the TMC, Mamata Banerjee, received the seats that should have gone to the BJP, or even fewer. So, friends, how does this fraudulent manipulation by the Election Commission, in collusion with the central government, actually take place? We will explain this clearly to you, but first, let us address those who might ask, if the BJP wins by colluding with the Election Commission, then why didn't it win in Kerala and Tamil Nadu? So, our listeners should take note. The central government did not engage in any electoral manipulation or schemes in these two states. Firstly, they had already poured all their energy into Assam and West Bengal. Secondly, the central leadership is well aware that they have virtually no political foothold in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Had they won these elections by manipulating EVMs, a method of interference we will discuss later, the fraud would have been exposed not just across India but globally, revealing the theft of votes. That is precisely why the central government refrained from tampering with EVMs in these states. This serves as proof that the Indian public remains unaffected by religious polarization. When people identify a leader they trust to do the right thing, they don't just provide the funds and support to launch a party, they cast their votes in such large numbers that they actually bring that party to power. We saw this happen in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, where the public elevated an actor, despite his lack of a political background, to become one of the state's most powerful leaders. History shows that the Indian public has long acted this way, from figures like Mulayam Singh Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav, and Balasaheb Thackeray to Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal, transforming parties centered around a single individual into major political forces at both the state and national levels. Ultimately, the mindset of the Indian people has not changed. They continue to keep politics separate from religion, understanding that the role of politicians and political parties is to foster national progress and ensure a better quality of life for society, rather than to preach about religion. Yes, one will certainly find individuals from upper castes, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, who consider themselves superior, as well as foolish, uncritical people, whether educated or uneducated, from other backward classes, OBCs or SC/ST communities, who, despite Hindus constituting 87% of India's population, propagate the BJP's political ploy and foolish narrative that Hindus are in danger. Yet, this backward section of society, harboring such a foolish mindset, fails to grasp the reality. The BJP's top leadership and chief ministers are invariably drawn from upper castes, and key party positions are reserved for them. Meanwhile, people from OBC, SC, and ST communities, including employees in the police, army, and paramilitary forces, are exploited like beasts of burden to help the party seize power. They are made to carry BJP flags in roadshows and incite communal riots. They are even deployed to lathi charge and fire tear gas at their own families and communities, people who are merely protesting peacefully and non-violently against injustice. Such persecution by police and paramilitary forces is entirely undemocratic and illegal. Yet, once power is secured, the BJP rewards its affluent upper caste members with high-ranking positions, even if they have done little to no actual hard work to earn them. Look at any BJP-ruled state. You will not find a leader from a backward caste holding the position of chief minister or any high-ranking party office. Within the BJP, leaders and workers from backward classes often appear to be exploited. They are tasked with the bulk of the work, yet when the time comes to award prestigious positions, they are sidelined. Even if there is immense pressure to accommodate them, a backward class leader is typically offered a position lower than the top tier. However, for now, let us confine our report to the issue of electoral malpractice by the BJP. Viewers, we will begin our report by discussing the states where the ruling BJP formed governments by stealing votes. In the final segment, we will explain exactly how Modi's ruling party carries out this vote theft. Let us first examine these states. Consider the irregularities, vote theft, and state-level rigging that occurred in elections held after 2024. The BJP, in collusion with the Election Commission, manipulated voter lists. Details regarding reports from civic groups across various states and the statements issued on this matter are as follows. Maharashtra. The Maharashtra Assembly elections became a major focal point for vote theft, described by some as a blueprint for rigging democracy. Discrepancies in voter lists. Public questions were raised regarding the sudden addition of 4.1 million, 41 lakh, new voters to the state's electoral roll within a span of just 5 months. With allegations that fake voters had been included. Sudden surge in voting percentage. There was significant media discussion regarding a massive and abrupt 7.83% increase in voter turnout after 5 p.m. on polling day. Grassroots leaders and the general public argued that such a shift was neither mathematically nor practically plausible. Reports by civic groups and independent organizations even presented calculations highlighting a vast disparity between the votes recorded in EVMs and the actual figures across 95 assembly constituencies. However, the official stance taken by Maharashtra's Chief Electoral Officer, CEO, and the Election Commission, was to dismiss these allegations. Crores of votes suddenly recorded in EVMs after 5 p.m. When the public demanded CCTV evidence regarding the sudden surge in votes, none was provided. Similarly, during the Haryana elections, the vote count suddenly rose by 2.5 million, 25 lakh, after 5 p.m. Yet, no CCTV footage was produced to show who these 2.5 million voters were. In the Rai Assembly constituency, the photograph of a single Brazilian female model was used 22 times across 10 different polling stations to register fake voters under various aliases like Sweetie and Seema. There were also instances of mass registration at single addresses. Citizens uncovered bizarre cases, such as 501 voters registered at a single residential address, and dozens of voters listed at the address of a commercial brewery that was falsely labeled as a residence. In Delhi, too, the BJP allegedly misused Form 7 for deleting names from the electoral roll, and Form 6 for adding new names prior to the assembly elections. Names were removed en masse and arbitrarily. The BJP reportedly had thousands of genuine voters struck off the rolls by falsely declaring them shifted or deceased. Investigations by locals and journalists in the Shadara constituency revealed that 70% of the deleted voters were alive and still residing at their original addresses. Fake and commercial addresses were also exploited to register voters on a massive scale. For instance, 33 voters were registered at an MP's official residence. and over 20 names were listed at the address of a small shop or basement in Johor Bahru. Such instances, numbering in the thousands, expose the alleged collusion between the BJP and the Election Commission. Despite this, CCTV footage of the elections was not made available, and the final vote count left a mystery. How did the BJP candidate manage to win by a margin of just 500 to 1,000 votes when the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal clearly enjoyed strong public support? Similarly, in the Bihar Assembly elections, the National Democratic Alliance, NDA, led by the BJP, secured a victory amidst allegations of the misuse of government machinery and systemic manipulation. Irregularities plagued the voter list revision process. During the Special Summary Revision (SSR) campaign prior to the election, opposition strongholds were targeted, resulting in the removal of over 60 lakh names from the electoral rolls while only 20 lakh new names were added. Journalists like Ajit Anyam have documented and exposed many such irregularities. Furthermore, countless complaints regarding polling day itself were highlighted by various journalists, who presented evidence via their YouTube channels. Notably, on polling and counting days, there were sudden power outages at specific local polling stations. CCTV cameras near strongrooms were strategically switched off, and special trains were operated to ferry bogus voters from neighboring states, in a blatant disregard for the electoral process. Financial inducements, violating the Model Code of Conduct, were offered just days before the vote. The government transferred 10,000 rupees to women's bank accounts under the Mukhyamantri Manjya Samman Yojana. This unconstitutional move violated the Model Code of Conduct and influenced voters. Even the Election Commission and Bihar's chief electoral officer failed to explain the power outages or provide CCTV footage to the RJD, Congress, and CPIM parties, led by Lalu Yadav and Tejashwi Yadav, leaving it a mystery as to how the vote share for the BJP-NDA alliance surged so dramatically. So, friends, the bottom line is this. By colluding with the Election Commission and leveraging the might of central forces and police batons, the BJP, despite lacking genuine public support, manages to form governments in states like Maharashtra, Haryana, Delhi, Bihar, Assam, and West Bengal. Meanwhile, opposition parties, even when backed by the public, are left crying foul to no avail, as the Election Commission turns a deaf ear to their grievances. But now, please pay attention to a crucial detail. In various states, whenever the power suddenly goes out during the EVM vote count, representatives from opposition parties are forcibly removed from the counting centers, and CCTV cameras are switched off. Immediately following this, news emerges, via the counting centers and the Election Commission, that BJP candidates have started winning. Now, you might ask how the BJP candidates' vote tally suddenly rises. Listen closely. The votes are not actually counted from the EVMs used by the public to cast their ballots. Instead, the counting is done using EVMs that have been pre-programmed, via their microchips in the storage facility, to register votes for the BJP. In essence, while the public does cast votes on the EVMs delivered to polling stations, the actual counting takes place on a different batch of EVMs brought in separately. Consequently, the serial number of the machine used for voting differs from the serial number of the machine used for counting. This is precisely the issue TMC leaders raised after the West Bengal elections. Why isn't the EVM used for counting the same one used for voting? Why does the serial number change? Furthermore, while the battery level of an EVM typically stands at 50 to 60% after voting concludes, during the counting process, why is the EVM battery level at 90 to 95%? Leaders from opposition parties, party workers, and MLA candidates raised this very question during the Maharashtra, Haryana, Delhi, and Bihar elections. In every election, opposition parties request CCTV footage of the vote counting process from the Election Commission, yet the Commission never provides it. The reason cited is that the counting involves EVMs pre-punched with votes for the BJP. These machines bear serial numbers different from the genuine EVMs used by the public. Furthermore, these pre-punched BJP favoring EVMs show high battery levels because they are not used during actual public voting. Instead, they are transported from storage centers to counting centers specifically for the tallying process, whereas the machines used by the public are set aside after voting concludes. Look, friends, if this revelation of ours is incorrect, the Election Commission of India should provide opposition parties with CCTV footage from both the voting and counting phases of every state election held since 2024. They should also explain why the EVM serial numbers differ and why battery levels appear elevated during the counting process. It is the duty of the Election Commission to provide the public and opposition parties with the requested evidence and explanations. Otherwise, the illicit activities of the BJP's central government and the Election Commission will continue to be exposed to the entire world, for the voice of the people represents the democratic power of the globe. Look, friends, a thief will never provide proof of their own theft, and the Election Commission of India will never expose its own vote-rigging schemes to the public. Therefore, the only remaining recourse is for the Supreme Court to overhaul the appointment system for the Chief Election Commissioner, a system currently designed by the BJP government where the selection committee comprises 2 BJP members and 1 opposition leader, effectively allowing the BJP to install a puppet who obeys the central government and executes orders to ensure BJP's electoral victory. The Supreme Court should replace this flawed system with one requiring a 2/3 majority in the Lok Sabha for appointments. If a consensus cannot be reached via a 2/3 majority, a panel comprising the Chief Justices of all high courts, all Supreme Court judges, the Prime Minister, and the leader of the opposition should be formed to rigorously vet and appoint election commissioners. Furthermore, the current election commissioners should be immediately removed from office. Their decisions should be reversed or halted. Re-elections should be held in states where they oversaw polls, and they should face an investigation. CCTV recordings from elections held during their tenure must be seized, and they should be held accountable for failing to properly adhere to electoral procedures. If found guilty of wrongdoing, they should be charged with and convicted of treason, as there is no greater crime than acting against the nation's democracy. Friends, why are the BJP and the Election Commission so intent on rapidly implementing the SIR process across all states? Here is the answer. The BJP's central leadership knows that sooner or later, their vote-rigging methods will be exposed to the nation and the world, and this scheme cannot last forever. They anticipate mounting pressure not just domestically but also from the global stage. Consequently, they aim to delete as many opposition voters' names as possible under the guise of SIR, ensuring a BJP victory even if fair elections and proper EVM vote counting are eventually mandated. You might not be aware that a previous chief election commissioner was also spotted by our journalists in Moldova, a European country, apparently seeking citizenship, presumably. He too had engaged in electoral malpractice during his tenure. All in all, we urge the youth of India to recognize that the BJP regime has likely engaged in various forms of fraud that are eating away at the nation like termites. Among all these misdeeds, the priority must be to put an end to vote theft. Elections should be conducted using ballot papers, and CCTV recording of the entire electoral process must be made mandatory. Mark our words. If this happens, the BJP will not win a single election and will be ousted from power. There is no other way to remove this BJP termite from the seat of power in India. To our thoughtful viewers, we work hard to present important issues and topics clearly and efficiently. Please like, share, and subscribe to motivate our team, and do leave a comment sharing your views on this crucial subject. Please also register on our website, VOPGLOBAL.org, to become a volunteer reporter. Write about local news, issues, and topics of public interest. We will publish your articles and amplify your voice to the public on our digital platform. Make your views news. Team, Digital Media Team, India, Voice of the People International.